Welcome to a brand new reaction to a Star Wars What If, where me and Ben react to a What If. This What If is made by the Star Wars Galaxy, and it is called What If Ahsoka Became a Jedi Knight in the Clone War. Pretty sure that's what it's called. I think it is. But this is an interesting What If, like always. Again, it's made by Star Wars Galaxy, so make sure to subscribe to that guy. You know, he makes some awesome What Ifs. Link to his channel down below in the description of the video, and link to the original video that we'll be reacting to today will be in the description of the video as well. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
What if Ahsoka Tano was promoted to Jedi Knight during the Clone Wars? How would this have changed things for her and for maybe Anakin Skywalker? That's what we're going to get into. Hope you guys enjoy. And make sure to click the link in the pinned comment to enter the saber giveaway for when we hit 50,000 subscribers.
Give me that saber.
Thanks, and let's get right into it. Our story begins inside of the Jedi Council, as Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are wrapping up a recent mission by giving the Council all of the details. Recently, the people of Onderon were overtaken by separatist forces, and the king was overthrown. This sparked a rebellion, and these rebels called for help from the Jedi. The Jedi were hesitant, as they didn't love the idea of engaging in a civil war outside of the Republic, but ultimately they allowed Ahsoka to lead the way in training this group of rebels to fight back. The Jedi couldn't necessarily engage themselves, but they could train the fighters. And over the course of a couple weeks, Ahsoka took on the mission, later without Obi-Wan, Anakin, or Rex, and she helped to liberate Onderon, while also putting aside her personal feelings in order to do it. Unfortunately, she was shot in the shoulder and she lost Stila Gerrera, a great fighter and person, sister to Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, she was in
Ahsoka was now getting the shoulder wound tended to, and as the Council heard all of this from Anakin and Obi-Wan, they were very pleased with the results, and so they dismissed the two Jedi. But as Obi-Wan turned to go, Anakin didn't move. Yoda leaned forward curiously, asking Anakin if he has more to say. Obi-Wan smiled. Anakin sometimes reminded him of Qui-Gon, and this was exactly what Qui-Gon did when he told the Council that Obi-Wan was ready to be a knight. Obi-Wan had a clue to what Anakin was about to ask, and Anakin said that he has a request. He thinks Ahsoka is ready to become a Jedi Knight, and liberating Onderon without Anakin, Obi-Wan, or the clones with her was her great trial. And Anakin ever so subtly looked at Windu, as he said he wasn't just asking this so that he could be made a Jedi Master sooner. He truly thinks that Ahsoka is ready. The Council murmured and
hold up, she will definitely be the youngest Jedi Knight, like, ever. Because she's 16 at this point, so, like that's, like, so young. Like,
Ki-Adi-Mundi expressed that she is still young, only 18 years old.
Very young.
But Anakin said
yeah,
she was as skilled and courageous.
Obi-Wan became a Jedi Knight at 25. So, yeah, that's... some people even get assigned to a Master at 16. So, it's pretty insane.
Just as any Jedi, she has survived on her own many times.
Yeah, 'cause no one
she
likes
has
them, I guess.
proven that she deserves this. Windu said this could be a good idea. Ahsoka has proven herself time and time again. And perhaps the 501st can be split in half. The Order needs as many knights as they can.
You're gonna split up the fucking best Legion in half? Shut the fuck up. Just give her own fucking Legion like you did in a year from that point.
This war is only getting worse. Plo Koon spoke up, saying he believes that Ahsoka is ready for this. Obi-Wan agreed, saying he has had a first-hand seat to seeing her training, and Anakin has done as good a job as anyone could have hoped for. And within minutes, the Council was in agreement. Ahsoka would be a Jedi Knight.
Wow, they actually
Anakin was now
upon
radiating
something.
joy for Ahsoka, and he ran down to the medical bay to tell her that the Council was waiting for her. On the way back up, Ahsoka was trying to get Anakin to reveal what the Council wants, but he didn't say much until they got to the doors. Once there, Anakin smiled, looked down to his student, and said that it's time they leave their roles as master and apprentice. Ahsoka understood now, and she truly couldn't believe it, but she followed Anakin into the Council, where all of the members stood, bowing to her. Ahsoka looked to Plo, one of her greatest friends, then to Kenobi, Yoda, Windu, everyone, and then back to Anakin.
Well, I wouldn't think
And Anakin
Coneheads,
ignited
he's a
his saber,
psychopath.
then deemed Ahsoka Tano Jedi Knight. Anakin and Ahsoka would spend the evening together in the temple. Both of them knew they likely wouldn't be here for long, as the war would certainly be calling for them again soon. It was decided that Ahsoka would get Rex and half of the 501st.
What? Shut the fuck up. You're just taking Rex away from Anakin. All right, that's just.
While Appo and the other
She
half
just stay with him
Anakin
until she's a
to
bit
make
more
up for
experienced
lost
and
clone-
older.
That too, she was still making mistakes left
She's
and
still
right.
very young.
She was making mistakes left and right in the show as well at that age, at 16. And by the way, you can't just take Rex away from Anakin. All right, shut the fuck up. Like,
clones for each battalion. Many of the troopers soon to leave Kamino would be joining the 501st Legions. And through the evening, Anakin and Ahsoka talked and laughed with each other as Ahsoka was taking in her new role. She was excited, and perhaps this role could help her bring change to the Order in the future. Anakin was trying to help her with this new role, but he has only been a Jedi Knight for a few years as well. Before the start of the Clone Wars, when it was really beginning, he was promoted along with a group of other Jedi Padawans, but he trained Ahsoka so he could help her. And after the evening meal, Anakin would disappear, as he often did, and Ahsoka would retire to her quarters, excited for her new role. And the next morning, as things were settled with the 501st, Ahsoka was sent into the battlefield. For months, she would continue to fight the Clone Wars. Sometimes, she would be with another Jedi like Anakin, Plo, Obi-Wan, or someone she didn't know all that well, but most of the time, she was alone. Ahsoka really didn't mind being the only Jedi in battle, though she did miss Anakin.
whoa, wait, hold up. What is that fucking face? What is that? That looks like an egg! Who designed her face in this picture? That does not look okay. It just doesn't.
Ahsoka really didn't mind being the only Jedi in battle, though she did miss Anakin, but she proved herself, and the clones were truly like brothers to her. Without the Jedi, she still had all of these clones who would die for her, that she was a truly strong leader. After a long string of battles, Ahsoka would soon be called back to the temple for a week of recovery, which she was happy for. It seemed like the war was only dragging on, and she often lost sight of what she was actually fighting for. The endless suffering of the innocent people caught in the middle, countless clones dying every day, and the Jedi leading all of it. It just didn't sit right with Ahsoka. And while inside the temple, relaxing in her quarters, at least trying to relax, Barriss Offee would come knock on the door. Ahsoka was happy to see her old friend, and she began walking through the temple with Barriss. The two of them were both Jedi Knights, and Barriss said that because Ahsoka has this new rank, she feels very comfortable confiding in her. The two of them would talk about the war, and Barriss slowly advanced her talking points, getting more and more advanced, more political, even saying that she believes the Jedi Order and the Republic have become extremely corrupt, and the Jedi should not be fighting this war at all.
How is the Jedi Order corrupt? Please explain, green bitch. They're not corrupt, they're just stupid. So, yeah.
Ahsoka was hesitant to agree. She did agree to a certain extent, but Barriss was seemingly going too far. She didn't necessarily disagree, but in her mind the Jedi were not just fighting for the Republic, but also for the innocent people stuck in the middle of all of it. It was very complicated. Barriss told Ahsoka that the Jedi need some sort of message, a sign, a protest to this war, and it has to be big. Ahsoka cautiously asked Barriss what she meant, and Barriss would lead Ahsoka into her own quarters, and Ahsoka saw the room was full of plans and schematics for something big. A bomb? And Barriss said she needs a Jedi Knight on her side, and Ahsoka knew now how far her friend is.
I swear if you make Ahsoka join her, then just fuck off, because that's not happening.
Fallen. Barriss thought that because Ahsoka and her had fought together during battles and even been trapped on Geonosis together, that Ahsoka would be with Barriss on this, that she would agree. But Ahsoka turned to Barriss and said she could not allow her to go through with this. Ahsoka then noticed Barriss was not carrying her lightsabers. Barriss sighed, saying that this is a shame, and that Ahsoka has become just like the rest of the Jedi. Then she reached her hand out, calling her saber from behind Ahsoka. And Ahsoka flipped over the ignited saber, getting into a fighting
Kill the
stance.
bitch.
Barriss just tried to kill her. She again told Barriss not to do this, but she said it was too late, then swung down at Ahsoka. Ahsoka dodged and knew there wasn't any getting out of this. The two of them clashed sabers, and Ahsoka backed out of the room as Barriss put on a sort of mask. There were a few Jedi in the area, but Barriss now had her face covered, as she was furiously trying to kill Ahsoka at this point. She could not have a loose end for her plan. If she wouldn't join, she would have to die. The two of them battled all the way to the Council turbo lift. Ahsoka got inside to try and catch her breath, but Barriss followed. They rolled
up to the Council lift. I swear if they go like up to the council.
Someone would have stopped it before that time.
Yeah, that's true. He said a few Jedi were around. They would have already
Someone would have.
alerted.
There's over
someone.
4,000 Jedi in the freaking temple. Someone would have seen them. The guards would have reacted by that point. Even if they didn't get involved, they would have reacted.
What if they're sleeping? I don't know. Maybe.
Rose up together, dueling now in the small lift. The council was empty, but Barriss cut through Kit Fisto's chair in a swing at Ahsoka,
No, don't Kit
then
Fisto's
swung
chair.
low, and Ahsoka took this chance to cut Barriss across the shoulder. She screamed out in pain,
Yeah,
and
bitch.
dove out at Ahsoka, slamming her out of the window.
Oh.
Both of them fell down to the roof together, and both managed to use the Force to cushion their fall. They slowly got up, reigniting their sabers, and now fighting to the edge of the roof. Now Ahsoka tried desperately to get Barriss to stop. She reached out one hand, putting away one of the sabers, and she could see Barriss was even considering it. But Barriss's eyes shifted from sadness to conviction. She said it was too late for her, and again she dove at Ahsoka, but this time Ahsoka was ready. She sliced through Barriss's wrists,
Yeah,
kicking
bitch.
her off of the roof. She fell all the way to her death, thinking maybe that her death would be enough of a message for the Jedi to see
Yeah,
how
it's
far
not
they have
your
fallen.
bitch. So
And this event would be extremely traumatic for Ahsoka. She basically just killed one of her closest friends, but she would manage to explain everything to the council and show them the plans for the bombing
Give it that
that
die
Barriss
yourself.
kept hidden in her quarters. It was undeniable proof, and the Jedi thanked Ahsoka for stopping this act of terror against the innocents. Ahsoka was extremely shaken, and the council would allow her to stay on Coruscant for as long as she needs. Therefore, Rex and her 501st troops could return to Anakin for now. And for the next few weeks, Ahsoka would actually stay on Coruscant inside the temple, contemplating the war. Instead of fighting in battles, she would spend time speaking to the more experienced Jedi, trying to get their take on the war, such as Jocasta Nu or Terra Sinobe, trying to make sense of why the Jedi continued to support this republic that seemed to be falling apart. She wasn't exactly happy with the answers, but through meditation with Yoda, Ahsoka had a vision of a different scenario, one where Barriss succeeded and it killed innocents while having little effect on the war. This gave her some peace in knowing that what she did was necessary.
yep.
She would stay in the temple to find peace all the way through the death of Fives, which she only heard about through the grapevine. She'd been too caught up in her own mission to get involved with Rex, Fives, and Anakin as they went through what they did, and she went to find Rex to make sure he was alright. The Jedi were saying that the clones died from a virus they caught on Ringo Vinda, and Ahsoka hoped that the virus was just a one-time thing, and that the rest of the clones would remain safe. She eventually would find Rex in the Republic hangar bay, as he was helping his men unload their ships. Rex was very happy to see Ahsoka, and she immediately noticed something was quite off with him. The two of them would talk for a long time, before Rex openly revealed his thoughts. He didn't think Fives or Tup died from a virus. Instead, inside of their heads, all clones have chips, and Rex saw both clones go insane. Rex told Ahsoka that he fears that these chips have a greater purpose. So Rex and Ahsoka would explore this. The two of them always had a very special relationship. They could talk openly with each other. Rex and Anakin were good friends, but Rex and Ahsoka were like siblings. Ahsoka and Rex would discuss how they could approach finding more information about this, and Ahsoka had an idea. She'd recently started to develop the psychometry power, so perhaps, if she could get her hands on Rex's chip, the Force would grant her a vision about what they are to be used for. Rex didn't know much about the Force, but this was as good an idea as he could think of, so over the next week, he would find a way to have his chip removed and eventually get it back to Ahsoka. And Ahsoka would try her hardest to focus in on the chip, to use her basic psychometry, but it just wasn't working. She tried for a few nights, but eventually had to give up for now, as Anakin soon asked if she was ready to return to the battlefield. If so, she could go with him and Obi-Wan on a new mission. Ahsoka would accept, and the mission was to Obadiah. Plo Koon recently discovered the crashed ship of Master Sifo Dyas, the Jedi who the Kaminoans claimed created the clone army. The crashed ship was on the moon of Obadiah, home of the Pikes, so now these three Jedi were off to investigate and see if the Pikes had any more information on the death of Sifo Dyas.
Interesting.
What the Jedi did not know was that Count Dooku himself was also alerted to these Jedi investigations, and so he was traveling to Obadiah to make sure the Jedi do not discover the true nature of the clone army. On the planet, the three Jedi would eventually find Silman, the man who was aiding Sifo Dyas, and he'd gone absolutely insane in captivity over the years. The Jedi were trying to get Silman to reveal who posed as Sifo Dyas in order to create the clone army, but that answer was revealed moments later as Silman was choked to death. Now standing outside of the room was Dooku himself. Now the three Jedi ignited their lightsabers as Dooku did the same. Ahsoka remarked that she was surprised to see Dooku was doing his own dirty work, and Anakin smirked. He was about to say the same thing. Dooku said that some things are just this important, and then the duel would begin. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka lunged at Dooku, 4 sabers against 1, but Dooku was a truly elite duelist. He was backing up, but still in control of the fight, and the 4 of them would fight all the way from the detention level to an outside bridge on the side of the building. And while the 4 of them were fighting, Pike, Minister Lom, and his guards would run out and refer to Dooku as Tyrannus. This would confirm that it was Dooku that created the clones. The Pikes fired at Dooku, while the Jedi continued to fight him, and Dooku would soon electrocute the Pikes, killing the Minister. And back in the saber duel, Dooku was able to cut away one of Ahsoka's lightsaber, pushing her to the edge. She slid all the way off of the wall, and now was barely hanging on by one hand, with nothing but open sky beneath her. She told Anakin and Obi-Wan to keep going. She would be alright. So Skywalker and Kenobi would engage Dooku again, but Dooku soon gained the upper hand. He discreetly called to his ship, then jumped from a freighter to separate himself. But as Ahsoka was hanging here, she saw Dooku's ship sneaking to him, and so she made a move. Ahsoka jumped through the air, landing on a Pike speeder, flying it underneath Dooku's ship, and with one of her sabers, she sliced through the engines with it. On the freighter, Dooku and Anakin battled until Dooku saw his own ship. He was able to jump to it, leaving Anakin feeling defeated, like Dooku once more got away. But as Dooku flew away, his ship began to violently shake. Small explosions began underneath, and then, because of Ahsoka's cutting, it erupted in one huge explosion. Dooku died because of Ahsoka's quick thinking.
Oh, hell no!
It would have been preferable to bring him in alive, but this was the second best option. With the Sith Lord and the leader of the Separatists dead, the 3 Jedi would return back to Coruscant with the knowledge that the clone army was created for them. The first night upon returning to the temple, the 3 Jedi were able to get some rest in their own rooms. But Ahsoka, with the new knowledge that the Sith created the clones, and therefore also likely created the chips, had more information to use on Rex's chip. She went into deep meditation, holding the chip in her hands, trying to focus on psychometry, while also focusing on the Sith. And because of this added information, the Force did grant her a vision, finally. Ahsoka's consciousness would travel through Coruscant, into the industrial sector, and into an old building. There, she saw Dooku and another hooded man, and Dooku was holding this chip. Dooku told Sidious this was the first inhibitor chip, programmed with all of the executive orders for when the time is right, and the hooded Sith said that this was good. He then assigned Dooku to make sure this first chip is put into whichever clone is the leader of Anakin's clone legion. And the vision ended. Ahsoka was left breathing heavily, and she suddenly noticed that outside her window, it was light outside. The vision, which only felt like maybe a minute, actually took all night. She couldn't even be sure any of this was real, that it wasn't just a dream. And so she decided to explore this pretty much alone to find out. She knew that she had to go to the building that she saw in this vision. Maybe there would be more information there on the Sith. She wanted to go to the Jedi with this, but would they accept that she went against orders to remove a chip from a clone, and then had a vision about the Sith? Would they even believe her? She didn't know, but perhaps Anakin would come with her. Ahsoka would look all over for Anakin, even going into the temple hangar, where she instead found Rex. Rex said he was preparing to meet with Cody and Wolf about a big upcoming mission, but Ahsoka said this will have to wait. She told Rex about her vision, and the 2 of them would decide to go together to this building in the industrial sector.
No, whoa,
Ahsoka asked
whoa,
around.
they're fucking dead, alright? Mr. Palpy boy is just sitting there and he's gonna absolutely shat on them, alright? What are they supposed to do against him? Tell me. There's nothing, they can't do anything. They can do jack shit to Palpatine. Like, nothing, alright? Like, Ahsoka ain't doing anything, alright?
Found for Anakin, but ultimately decided that she would just go with Rex for now. If they found the building, perhaps they could just go back. It would be a simple recon mission. Anakin, he was actually in the Jedi Council chambers this entire time.
Never a simple recon. That's the plan, but never works out like the plan.
Yeah, I
They
know. They're
always go
gonna.
looking inside, around. If she
And then
pokes inside
Palpatine
there,
is
that's
gonna
it. She
show up and he's gonna be like, hey, 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 I'm gonna fucking touch you.
After returning from Obadiah with knowledge of the clones and the death of Dooku, the Jedi Council debated making him Master. While there was some thoughts that Anakin wasn't ready, that he still hasn't learned to let go of his attachments, the Council
Not enough
decided
to
that
make him
because
Master.
Ahsoka became a knight, and because of Anakin's efforts in the war, he would become a Master.
Of
This made
course.
Anakin extremely happy, and he soon left the Council to find Ahsoka to tell her the good news. But he couldn't find her or Rex.
Yeah, because she's
He figured they
getting
must just be taking a walk
destroyed by
outside the
Palpatine.
temple, or something like that. And so he decided to go check out the restricted section for the first time. He was excited and grateful for this promotion. And deep inside the industrial sector, Ahsoka and Rex would find the building from her visions. It was real. Ahsoka thought that perhaps they should go back, tell the Jedi.
Yep, they should.
But something deep inside of the building was calling to her.
Oh, for fuck.
It was like whispers from the Force, telling her to come inside. Ahsoka almost couldn't resist, so she told Rex they were going in.
Oh,
They
great.
have to.
Lucky
They entered
hell.
through a small door, and Ahsoka would ignite her sabers, while Rex used his flashlight to enter the large area. They looked around, and the strange call lured Ahsoka into a new room. In this room, there was a large cauldron in the center, seemingly filled with blue energy of some sort. This is what was calling to her. Ahsoka walked up to it. Rex was behind her, and Ahsoka thought she saw a shadow fly across the wall. It must have just been her own. But she reached the cauldron and looked inside. It was extremely mystical, carrying a dark aura. Ahsoka asked Rex what he thought, but a moment later, she heard a lightsaber ignite, and Rex gasped as it went through his back.
Fucking
Ahsoka
hell.
turned, igniting her own sabers, and saw the Sith Lord drop Rex to the ground.
Fuck this shit! No! You killed Rex, you fucking bitch! Fucking hell. Why would you go in there, you stupid monkey? Oh my god.
He clawed
I
at the
told
floor,
you, don't
and
go
then
in
he
there.
went limp. The Sith Lord erupted into laughter, saying that Ahsoka was foolish to think he would not sense her meditations on the chip. He sees everything, knows everything, controls everything, and now she will die alone.
Right.
Ahsoka readied herself, not saying a word, wondering who it was underneath the hood, and the Sith flew at her. Ahsoka blocked.
If he does anything more to him than nothing, then this is super unrealistic. She's not doing. She can't touch Palpatine.
The first strike from Sidious, flipping backwards to get away, circling around the room. She could only see his wicked smile from under the hood, and with a flick of his wrist, Sidious threw a piece of the wall and it slammed into Ahsoka. She flopped to the ground, getting up to see that Sidious was gone. She looked all around, laughter still echoing in the room. He was enjoying this. And within a second, Sidious spun and slashed Ahsoka across the back.
Yep.
She never saw it coming, and now she screamed out in pain, hitting her head on the cauldron as she fell, still swirling with dark-side energy inside of it. And as Sidious lunged at her again, Ahsoka had an idea. She plunged both of her sabers into this cauldron, and it
Throw
immediately
'em in the cauldron.
exploded as the Force energy...
Huh?
Throw him in the cauldron.
inside was disrupted.
Cook him.
Both her and Sidious would be slammed into the wall as
Burn
the
the
entire
witch.
building began to shake
Oh, wait, Sidious.
and
Burn
collapse. Sidious scowled, running to the door, but Ahsoka got in his way. Her back was in searing pain. She could barely stand, but she had to do this. She held up her sabers, ready to die if it meant keeping the Sith here any longer, hoping he dies with her in the building explosion. Sidious raised his sabers, preparing to strike the weakened Ahsoka down, but before he could swing at her,
Anakin.
2 twin blasts pierced his heart.
Rex.
Sidious gasped. His hood fell to reveal the face of Palpatine, and he died with a true look of fear and failure on his face.
How the fuck is Rex
Ahsoka
alive?
looked to the ground to see Rex, hands shaking, eyes glossy, but he was alive.
How?
Through a shaky cough, he told Ahsoka to never underestimate a clone. It was Sidious's downfall.
Motherfucker got stabbed by a lightsaber. Is this some like Disney plus fucking plot armor shit? Like,
And as the
Well, it
building
depends
violently
where
shook
in the
again,
back it went through.
explosions could be heard from the lower floor.
well, if we go off the image that was there when he was talking about Rex being stabbed, and it was literally like the center of the chest.
Okay, so it's gone through the
Ahsoka
heart, it'd be
grabbed
instantly
Rex,
dead.
and
Well,
they
yeah,
went to their
obviously.
speeder together. At the final second, they got into
You know,
the
the back could also be like by the
If
shoulder.
he wasn't even near them. If he was lower back, he'd survive. He'd live long enough to shoot.
Yeah.
But if it was in the upper part, unless it was near the shoulders and it was more central to the heart, he'd just die regardless.
Now near the shoulder, let's say it's like almost at the shoulder, he would not be able to use that arm probably.
Speeder and flew
No, but
away.
he'd be able to shoot with
The
the other one.
explosion of
Yeah.
the building hit their speeder, and it went down, crashing into the ground, as Ahsoka went out cold. Eventually, Ahsoka began to open her eyes as she could hear sirens and rescue teams all around her. The explosion from the building sent the Jedi into action, and Ahsoka could now hear Anakin trying to wake her up. She opened her eyes to see Rex next to her. His eyes were open, but not
Yay.
because he was awake. The stab wound plus the
Oh,
crash
he
Clearly
killed
wasn't
Rex,
a fatal stab.
and Ahsoka began to cry, remembering his sacrifice. Ahsoka would recover enough to go back to the temple, telling the Jedi everything.
I was like,
They
yeah,
were
his
very
eyes are open and
surprised,
he's fucking
but
dead.
Palpatine being Sidious was something they explored. So the council would soon gather, taking control of the Senate, stating that the position of Chancellor was held by the highest leader of the Separatists. Over the next week or so, the war would begin to come to an end, as Anakin and Obi-Wan would travel to Utapau to find and destroy Grievous once and for all. With the war now over, Senator Bail Organa would be elected as Chancellor, and the Republic would try to find peace once more. And with the war ended, Ahsoka, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Cody would go to Kamino and begin negotiating how the clones would be treated in the newer Republic. They would stop being produced altogether, inhibitor chips would be removed, advanced aging would be stopped, and the clones would get a seat in the Republic Senate, along with a retirement pension, unless they choose to stay as Republic security. And before leaving Kamino, the four of them would lower Rex into the waters, sending his body off to forever be in the sea of his home world. His sacrifice saved the Republic, the Jedi, and his brothers. And now, Ahsoka would eventually take Gungi to be her first student, and training as students would bring
Okay, now, how old is she right
Good
now?
luck.
She 16. Oh, the video started when she's 16. Let's say she's probably 17 or 18 now. Fuck no, she's taking her apprentice. Ain't no way. Hell no.
happiness back into her life. Anakin was an excellent help, and over time, Ahsoka would be made a master, becoming a key member in helping the Jedi reform to their best. Around 10 years later, as she was given a seat on the council next to Anakin and Obi-Wan, she would take on Luke Skywalker as a Padawan, while Obi-Wan would train Leia. By this point, Yoda had passed on due to natural causes. Oppo Rensis, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Coleman Kaj stepped down, and Plo Koon became Grand Master, with Windu staying as Battle Master. Anakin and Ahsoka were excellent voices on the council, and they would help lead the Jedi in becoming better for decades.
The Order, not Battle
And
Master.
folks, that is our story
Centralicas.
for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I really did. Once again,
So
please
get
hit the
it right.
subscribe button to be eligible for
There's
the
a
fifth.
difference.
Maybe he meant to say no. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
8. 8.
8 out of 10. I think 7. So
7.5 then.
yeah. I mean, there were some.
I think the whole Palpatine thing that works is a bit of a stretch because Palpatine's much cleverer than that. He wouldn't have to do anything,
Yeah.
even if Ahsoka was on the leads. He could just dispatch her any other way. He could send her on a mission where the odds were completely against her and have her killed off that way.
Bro,
He wouldn't have to
bro
do
could use the
stuff, and he
force with one, like his pinky finger on those two and just kill them immediately. So.
Yeah, and I think the whole her jumping to that conclusion of all the clones and chips is a bit of a, well, like I say, jump. I mean, the whole thing with Barriss, that was understandable. I think that would probably happen.
Yeah,
like
just
that.
the thing with them fighting
But
across the
to
whole
necessarily
temple.
investigate, but to necessarily investigate the whole chips and everything, I think that's a bit of a. It's possible, but it's a stretch.
The fight between her and Barriss was kind of weird as well, because
I think she'd be much more likely swept up in just fighting in the war.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still good. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it stayed on track at least for
Mm-hmm.
what it was doing.
Indeed.
But the whole knight and a fucking master thing at that age is just new.
Okay, so that's it for the reaction to this what if. Already gave you an explanation to it, but yeah, pretty interesting what if, pretty good. There were some weird aspects in it, but that was all just small details that, you know, aren't that important. The story was good, it was well written, so genuinely I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, subscribe to the Star Wars Galaxy, as he makes these awesome alerts. Link to his channel down below in the description of this video, and link to the original video down below in the description of this video. Show him some love. Subscribe to me as well. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. Like the video if you enjoyed, appreciate it very much, and share it to anybody you know, such as your tree, your moose, your stepmom, your stepdad, your dad, and your cat. Thank you very much for doing that if you do it. And hey, this is it. Thank you so much for watching. This is the way I'm the Force be with you. Till then, I'll see you next time. Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.